We've all heard this phrase, men lust first and love later. And immediately it sparks a reaction, sometimes frustration, sometimes confusion, and often a question. Why? Why is it that so many men seem so quick to show interest, to chase, to shower you with compliments, only to pull away later, leaving you wondering if it was ever real? Let's strip this back to the truth, because there's something here that women must understand, not just to protect themselves, but to truly thrive in their love lives. Lust is instant. Love is earned. When a man sees a woman he's attracted to, the physical desire kicks in like a reflex. It's visual, it's biological, it's surface level, and it happens in a split second. That doesn't make him a bad guy, it just makes him human. But here's the catch. That instinct, that lust, has absolutely nothing to do with whether he will cherish you, commit to you, or build a future with you. So often, a man might act infatuated from the beginning. He texts you good morning, he compliments your smile, he talks about how amazing your energy is, and in the moment, you feel swept off your feet. But you have to ask, is this admiration or is it simply attraction? Lust, on its own, is cheap. It's not difficult, it's not thoughtful, it doesn't require any real effort from him. But love takes time. Love requires a man to see who you are when you're not dressed up for a date, when you're not trying to impress him, when you're simply being your honest, real self. And here's where so many incredible women get caught in the trap. A man's initial interest feels like momentum, it feels like a connection. So naturally, you want to give back. You want to match his energy. You start investing emotionally in what feels like the beginning of something real. But remember, he hasn't earned your vulnerability yet. He hasn't shown you who he really is over time. You're responding to lust as if it's love. And that's when heartbreak begins to brew. The truth is, a man's lust will fade unless it grows into respect. And respect doesn't come from your beauty. It comes from your boundaries. It comes from how you carry yourself, how you respond when he tests your limits, when you're not immediately available, when you show that your life is full, not waiting for someone to complete it. Lust is what grabs his attention, but it's how you value yourself that teaches him how to value you. You want to know if a man has the potential to love you? Don't look at how quickly he moves in the beginning. Look at how consistent he is after the novelty wears off. When the chase is over, when he's no longer trying to impress you, but instead trying to understand you. That's when you know if it was ever more than lust. There's a huge difference between being wanted and being chosen. Lust makes a man want you. Love makes a man choose you every day, even when it's hard, even when it's not convenient, even when he's seen your worst days and still believes in your best. But he can't get there without time. And you are the one who has to give him that space to show you his true self. Because love is not just about who he is at his best. It's about how he shows up when no one's watching, when things get difficult, when he has to decide between easy and meaningful. If you rush to reward a man for his lust, you never give him the opportunity to rise into love. You shortcut the process. You rob yourself of clarity, and too often you're left with confusion, wondering why he pulled away just when things seemed perfect. But if you stand firm in your standards, if you allow a man to prove through his actions that he sees more than just your body, if he shows that he values your time, your mind, your heart, that's when lust has the chance to evolve. Don't let lust trick you into thinking you found love. Let a man show up for you long enough that his desire matures into commitment, into consistency, into care. That's when you know you're not just someone he wants, but someone he's ready to build with. And remember this, his lust might be fast, but your love is valuable. Make him earn the right to feel it. You see, a lot of people don't realize this, but men respect what they invest in. It's just human nature. Think about it. When you buy something expensive, something you saved up for, something you had to work for, you treat it differently than something you picked up on sale without thinking. You value what cost you something. The same principle applies in relationships. Now, this isn't about playing games. It's not about manipulation or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about value. If a man gets all your attention, your time, your emotional support, your physical intimacy, all of it before he's even shown consistent effort, what he learns is that access to you doesn't require much from him. And whether he realizes it or not, he will treat you accordingly. Not because he's evil, not because he's trying to hurt you, but because that's how human psychology works. We value what we invest in. If he hasn't had to earn your time, he won't treasure it. If he hasn't had to slowly peel back your layers to understand the complexity of your mind and heart, he'll never see your depth. If he's allowed to jump right into the most intimate parts of your life without showing any real commitment, he's not going to suddenly appreciate your presence, because appreciation grows from effort, not from availability. And look, I get it. You meet someone, you feel that spark, the chemistry is electric. The conversations flow. You want to spend time together. You want to see where it goes. That's natural. But where most people go wrong is this: they confuse momentum with meaning. Just because things are moving fast doesn't mean they're moving deep. Just because he texts you every day or wants to see you every night doesn't mean he's emotionally invested. It just means he's enjoying the ride. The question is he willing to stay on the ride when it starts to require more from him? And here's the part that really matters. You have to let him show you. Too many women give a man the benefit of the doubt before he's even earned it. They fall in love with his potential, with the idea of who he could be, instead of paying attention to who he actually is right now. Does he show up? Does he follow through? Does he listen? Does he take the time to know you beyond the surface? If the answer is no, then I don't care how attracted he is to you, he's not invested. He's entertained. You see, when a man has to work for something, when he has to consistently show up, take you out, plan things, engage in meaningful conversation, wait for deeper levels of connection, he builds emotional muscle. He starts to tie your value not just to what you give him, but to what he's built with you. And that's where real respect comes in. That's where love can grow, because now it's not just about how you make him feel. It's about the man he gets to be when he's with you. Now, I know someone's thinking, but shouldn't love be effortless? Shouldn't it just flow? Look, attraction might be effortless, chemistry might be instant, but love, real love, that requires intention. That requires showing up again and again, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's not fun or sexy. And if a man hasn't had to put in that kind of intention, he won't value the relationship when things get hard. He'll leave the same way he came, in a flash. So don't be afraid to slow things down. Don't be afraid to say, I want to get to know you more before we move forward. That's not rejection, that's standard. And when you hold that space, when you show him that your world isn't something he gets access to just because he smiled and said the right things, you invite him to show you what he's really made of. The men who aren't serious, they'll fall off. And that's exactly what you want. Let them go. Don't chase. Don't question your worth. Don't water yourself down. Because the man who's ready, the man who's serious, the man who sees your value, he will rise to meet you. So the next time you're wondering why he's not calling back, why he's lost interest after a few weeks, or why you always feel like you're giving more than you're getting, ask yourself, what did he have to invest to get here? If the answer is very little, then don't be surprised when he treats it like it's worth very little. But when a man earns you, he cherishes you. Because love that is earned is love that lasts. So here's something I want you to really hear. Too many women try to become the fantasy a man thinks he wants. They start performing. They change their behavior, their looks, their personality, just to fit into this ideal that they believe will make him stay interested. They think, if I'm exactly what he's dreaming of, then he won't leave. If I keep up this act, I'll keep his attention. And honestly, it's exhausting. Because when you perform, when you try to be what you think he wants, you're actually pushing the real you further away. You're hiding the things that make you unique, the parts of yourself that aren't on a checklist or a dating app profile. The truth is, the real game changer isn't trying to be the girl who fits his fantasy perfectly. It's inviting him to discover your world, your passions, your dreams, your quirks, the things that light you up from the inside. When you do that, you create something much deeper than surface level attraction. You create curiosity. And that curiosity is what moves a man from lust into genuine interest. Lust can happen in a flash, but interest, real interest, takes time to build. And it's interest that leads to love. Think about it. What is it that makes you fall for someone? Is it just how good looking they are? Or is it how they make you feel, how they challenge you, how they inspire you, how they share their passions with you? It's the layers you uncover over time that turn infatuation into something meaningful. The same is true for men. They might start with lust, but if you want them to stay, you have to let them in on who you truly are. This means showing up as your full self, not just the parts you think a man wants to see. Share your opinions. Let him see how you think, how you feel, what excites you. Show him your world, your friends, your family, your hobbies. When you do that, you're inviting him to invest emotionally in you. Because at the end of the day, men want to feel like they're gaining something meaningful by being with you. They want to know that there's more to you than just physical attraction. And here's a key point. When a man has to work to discover those layers, when you don't hand everything over immediately, something interesting happens. He starts to chase you, not just because he wants to sleep with you, but because he wants to know you better. That chase is about more than sex. It's about connection. It's about him wanting to spend time with you, learning your favorite things, understanding your fears, and becoming part of your story. Now, some women worry that if they don't make themselves easily available, a man will lose interest. But that's exactly the kind of thinking that keeps relationships shallow and short-lived. If a man loses interest because you're not instantly available, then he wasn't ready for more than lust in the first place. The goal isn't to keep a man by being instantly accessible. It's to inspire him to want to earn your time and attention, because respect and desire grow when a man has to work for them. You might wonder, how do I do this without seeming cold or playing games? It's simple. Be authentic. The point isn't to be mysterious just for the sake of mystery. The point is to live your life fully with boundaries and priorities, and to share that life with him in a way that feels natural. When you live like that, your confidence shines through, and confidence is magnetic. It makes you irresistible because you're not desperate for his approval. You have your own approval, and you're inviting him to join you. Remember, men aren't just attracted to your body, they're attracted to your energy, your enthusiasm for life, your kindness, your humor, your intelligence. These things create a magnetic pull. When you share these parts of yourself, it's not about impressing him, it's about being yourself, unapologetically. That kind of authenticity breaks down walls and builds a real connection. And here's what's beautiful about this approach. When a man sees the real you and he likes what he discovers, he's more likely to stick around. Because love isn't about an image or an act. It's about accepting and appreciating someone's true self. And that's exactly what happens when you invite him to discover your world instead of trying to fit into his fantasy. So stop trying to be the girl you think he wants. Instead, be the woman you are, the one with passions, dreams, boundaries, and a life full of meaning. That's the woman who doesn't just catch a man's eye, but captures his heart. Look, if you want to build something real, something that lasts, you have to understand one fundamental truth. Your body is not your only power. I know society often tells you that your physical attractiveness is your biggest asset in relationships, and yes, can be the spark that gets a man's attention, the initial magnet that pulls him toward you. But that spark, it's only the beginning. The real question is, what keeps the fire burning long after the initial attraction fades? It's not just about what's easiest to give or what's immediate. Physical intimacy, the kind of connection that happens quickly, can feel amazing and it absolutely has its place. But if you lead every interaction with your body, if you risk creating a dynamic where a man values only that part of you, he may want you, sure, but does he truly see you? Does he want the full, complex, incredible woman you are beyond the surface? This is why it's so important to recognize and embrace the other parts of yourself. The parts that aren't always obvious, but that carry real, lasting power. Your values, your boundaries, your humor, your emotional intelligence, your passions, the way you think. These are the things that make you irreplaceable. These are the things that transform attraction into something deeper, something lasting. When you bring all of who you are to the table, not just the physical, what happens is profound. A man begins to want to know you, not just want you. He starts to pay attention to your thoughts, your dreams, your feelings. He sees your light and he wants to be part of the life you're building. Look, if you want to build something real, something that lasts, you have to understand one fundamental truth. Your body is not your only power. I know society often tells you that your physical attractiveness is your biggest asset in relationships, and yes, can be the spark that gets a man's attention, the initial magnet that pulls him toward you. But that spark, it's only the beginning. The real question is, what keeps the fire burning long after the initial attraction fades? It's not just about what's easiest to give or what's immediate. Physical intimacy, the kind of connection that happens quickly, can feel amazing and it absolutely has its place. But if you lead every interaction with your body, if you risk creating a dynamic where a man values only that part of you, he may want you, sure, but does he truly see you? Does he want the full, complex, incredible woman you are beyond the surface? This is why it's so important to recognize and embrace the other parts of yourself. The parts that aren't always obvious, but that carry real, lasting power. Your values, your boundaries, your humor, your emotional intelligence, your passions, the way you think. These are the things that make you irreplaceable. These are the things that transform attraction into something deeper, something lasting. When you bring all of who you are to the table, not just the physical, what happens is profound. A man begins to want to know you, not just want you. He starts to pay attention to your thoughts, your dreams, your feelings. He sees your light and he wants to be part of the life you're building, not just the moments you share. That's when lust starts to evolve into love. Think about it like this. Anyone can admire a beautiful painting from across the room. It's stunning. It draws the eye. But to truly appreciate the painting, to understand its meaning and value, you have to step closer. Study the brush strokes, the colors, the story behind it. The same is true with relationships. Physical attraction is the distance view, but emotional connection, that's the close-up. It takes time, effort, and genuine interest to get there. So, the next time you find yourself in a situation where you feel like you're performing just to keep a man interested, just to make sure he doesn't walk away, stop, pause, ask yourself if you're showing him your true self or just a version he'll like. Because if it's the latter, you're missing out on the chance to connect with a man who's willing to love you exactly as you are, in all your complexity and beauty. Setting boundaries is key here. When you know your worth and you guard it, not by building walls, but by defining what you will and won't accept, you send a message that you're not just another option. You're a prize worth working for. And men respect that. They respect the woman who knows what she wants and doesn't settle for less. When you honor yourself, you invite a man to do the same. There's something deeply attractive about a woman who isn't afraid to be authentic, who laughs from her soul, who speaks her mind with kindness, and who carries herself with confidence and grace. That woman isn't just a body someone wants to have. She's a person someone wants to know. And when a man wants to know you, he's moving toward love, not just lust. You might think that if you hold back the physical side, he'll lose interest. But actually what happens is often the opposite. When you don't hand everything over too quickly, you create anticipation. You create a sense of mystery and excitement. And this gives a man a reason to invest time and effort to pursue you beyond the surface level. It's this pursuit, this investment that builds respect and emotional connection. You are not here just to be desired. You are here to be valued. And that value doesn't come from how you look or what you give easily. It comes from who you are inside, your emotional depth, your kindness, your intelligence, your strength. Those are the things that build lasting relationships. Those are the things that make a man want to show up, to commit, to love. So don't make the mistake of thinking that love is only about physical chemistry. Yes, chemistry is important, it's the ignition, but it's not the engine. If you want love that lasts, you need to nurture everything else about yourself. Share your thoughts, your dreams, your passions. Show your humor and your warmth. Be honest and open about what you want and need. Let him see you for the amazing, multi-dimensional woman you are. Because when a man falls for all of that, when he falls for you and not just your body, that's when lust finally turns into love. And that love, it's powerful, it's enduring, and it's exactly what you deserve. Remember this, you're not here to be anyone's fantasy, to be the reality that's better than any fantasy could ever be. You know, chemistry is this word that gets thrown around so much in dating conversations, like it's some magical ingredient that guarantees everything will work out. And sure, chemistry can be electric. It's that instant spark, the feeling you get when someone's presence sends a jolt through your whole body. It's the butterflies, the excitement, the undeniable pull. But here's the truth. Chemistry without compatibility, it's like lighting a match in a windstorm. It might flare up fast. It might even burn bright for a little while, but it's not built to last. It's volatile, and most importantly, it's unstable. A lot of women get caught up chasing that spark because it feels thrilling and validating. When a man's eyes light up the moment he sees you, it's easy to mistake that feeling for something deeper, something sustainable. But what you really want and what you deserve is a connection that goes beyond the initial excitement. You want someone who's not just obsessed with how you look or how you make them feel in the moment, but someone who values you in a way that holds steady day after day. Chemistry grabs attention. It makes men want to be near you, but it's compatibility that builds trust, that fosters respect, and ultimately that creates love. Think about it like this. Chemistry is the first chapter of a story, but compatibility is the plot, the development, the reason the story is worth telling at all. When a man is caught up purely in chemistry, he's responding to the thrill of newness, the rush of desire. That's natural. It's how our brains are wired. But desire is fleeting if it's not anchored in something more. Without compatibility, that initial passion tends to fizzle out quickly. You might notice he's suddenly distant, or he loses interest just as quickly as he gained it. This isn't because you've done anything wrong, it's just the reality of how human connections work. Compatibility means you share the same core values, the same vision for your lives, and you respect each other's emotional needs. It's about being able to communicate openly, to solve problems together, and to support each other's growth. It's not always as flashy or immediate as chemistry, but it's what keeps the relationship grounded and sustainable. It's the quiet, steady fuel that powers the long journey, not the bright flash of fireworks that fades after the first night. So, if you find yourself in a relationship where the spark feels amazing but there's no real depth, no shared goals or understanding, be cautious. That thrill might be addictive, but it's not what will make you truly happy in the long run. You want a partner who sees you as a whole person, not just someone who makes his heart race or his body respond. And here's something to remember. Building compatibility isn't about changing yourself to fit what you think he wants. It's about being fully yourself and seeing if your true self fits with his. That means your values, your passions, your boundaries. If those don't align, no amount of chemistry can fix that gap. You can't build a lasting relationship on illusions or fantasies. When you prioritize compatibility, you're putting your future first. You're saying, I want a partner who can stand with me through life's ups and downs, who respects who I am at my core, not just when it's easy or fun. It's not always easy to spot compatibility in the beginning because it requires patience and honest conversations. But it's worth it because it's the difference between a relationship that fades and one that grows stronger. Sometimes the guy who's crazy about you from the very start might actually be the least likely to stick around because his interest is tied mostly to physical attraction or surface level excitement. On the other hand, the man who takes his time to understand you, who respects your boundaries, and who shares your vision, he's the one who's more likely to love you in a way that lasts. So don't settle for the guy who only lights up when he's with you in the moment. Look for the man who wants to build a life with you, who values the things that really matter, the trust, the respect, the shared dreams. Chemistry is wonderful. It's what brings people together, but compatibility is what keeps them together. At the end of the day, you deserve a love that isn't just thrilling, but also real and dependable. A love that makes you feel safe, understood, and respected, not just desired. And that kind of love comes from knowing yourself, standing by your values, and choosing a partner who fits with the real you, not just the fantasy. You know, one of the biggest shifts you can make in your love life is really embracing this idea, be the standard, not the exception. What I mean by that is so many women fall into the trap of trying to prove to a man that they're different or not like the others. It's almost like you feel the need to convince him that you're special, that you're worth his attention, or that you deserve more than what he might initially be offering. But here's the thing. When you operate from that place, you're actually lowering your value without even realizing it. You see, when you try to prove that you're different, what you're really doing is giving your power away. Instead of standing firm in what you want and what you deserve, you're hoping that by bending, by over-explaining, or by constantly trying to be the good one, you'll be rewarded with love. And unfortunately, that rarely works in the long run. It's exhausting, and it creates an imbalance where you're chasing approval rather than attracting respect. The truth is, men, don't fall in love with someone who desperately tries to be the exception to every rule. They fall in love with a woman who knows exactly what she wants and is unapologetic about it. A woman who doesn't just settle for crumbs or flashes of attention, but sets clear boundaries and standards from the start. This kind of clarity, it's magnetic. it sends a message that you value yourself deeply and won't accept anything less than what truly aligns with your worth. Think about it this way. If you treat yourself as if you're an option, a maybe, or someone who can be won over by being nice enough or available enough, then that's exactly what you're inviting. But when you stand as the standard, you're setting a new benchmark, not only for yourself, but for every man who wants to be in your life. It's a way of saying, this is how I expect to be treated. This is the energy I bring. And if you want to be part of my world, you'll have to rise to meet it. And this isn't about arrogance or playing hard to get. It's about self-respect and self-awareness. It's about understanding that your time, your attention, your love, they're all precious. You don't owe them to anyone who isn't willing to show up with the same level of commitment and care. When you truly embody this mindset, you stop wasting energy on men who aren't aligned with your values and start focusing on the ones who are actually ready to give you what you deserve. You might worry, if I set such high standards, won't I scare men away? Here's the surprising truth. The right men will be drawn to you even more because real men, the ones who are capable of love, are not intimidated by a woman who knows her worth. They're inspired by it. They want to show up for someone who values herself and demands respect. In fact, when you lower your standards, you attract men who match that lowered energy, who don't value you as much as you should be valued. Being the standard means being clear about what you want and having the courage to say no to anything that doesn't fit. It means trusting that the right person won't make you beg for attention or affection. Instead, he'll want to give it freely because he recognizes your value and respects you deeply. When you stop chasing and start standing firm, you reclaim your power in a way that completely changes the dynamic. And this goes beyond just relationships. It's about how you carry yourself in every area of life. When you treat yourself as the standard, you communicate to the world that you won't settle for less than you deserve. That confidence spills over into your energy, your presence, and ultimately the quality of people you attract. So don't waste time trying to be the exception to someone's rules or hoping to be the one who changes a man's mind about what he wants. Instead, focus on becoming the kind of woman who sets the rules, not by being difficult or unapproachable, but by being so aligned with her worth that settling simply isn't an option. When you live like this, the love that comes your way is different. It's deeper, more consistent, and far more rewarding because it's built on respect, mutual effort, and a genuine desire to be together, not just fleeting attraction or convenience. At the end of the day, the truth is simple. You deserve a love that meets your standard, not one you have to negotiate or convince someone to give you. Be that standard, unwavering, clear, and beautifully unapologetic.